Good evening, every pony and every creature. Welcome to Drata Arcana Gaming for tonight's stream. And I'm actually kind of excited for this one. And Twilight, are you excited? I bet you are. Friends Forever has been spoiled. We have spoilers for Friends Forever. Woohoo! Set 10, we have some spoilers tonight. But before we get to that, a lot's happened in the time that I've been gone in these last 2 weeks. First off, if you were wondering if you missed anything about the MLP CCG last week, just know that you probably should relax and take a book and look at a book. Because I was not streaming last week. It was Cider Fest. I had participated in North American Continentals. Well, I placed 4th. That means that I was top 4. I went top 4. And, yeah. So I am top 4 at North American Continentals. Woo! 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 And if any of you guys think that's not a big accomplishment and you guys don't like me for going top 4, I'm going to be like... But I did place top 4. I was exhausted from all the games I was playing that weekend that I had not gotten the chance yet to edit out my... vlogs for the con. That is coming. I apologize. I was supposed to have that out Wednesday, but with work and me being exhausted from the con, I was not able to accomplish that. So before you all flip the table at me in anger, just know that it is coming. I am working on it. Also, I've been doing some other stuff with my channel, trying to get other content out simultaneously. So anyways, but let's get into what you guys are actually here for. And that's the Friends Forever spoilers. Are you guys ready for this? Are you ready? Are you super ready? Are you Twilight freaking out like, what's it gonna be? What are the spoilers? 3, 2, 1, here they are, the spoilers of Friends Forever. Oh my gosh, it has happened. Set 10 has 2 official spoilers, and tonight is an exciting day for Drata Arcana Gaming. Drata here is super excited. If you can't tell by the loudness of my voice, I am super stoked. I am excited. I'm very, very happy. And let's get into this. Thank you. Let's talk about these 2 cards. So the first one is called Lacking Lesson Plans. It's a starting problem, 4 to confront for your side, 6 for your opponent, meaning that this is probably one of the best problems I think that we're going to be getting. It specifically says opposing troublemakers can't prevent you from confronting this problem. This is a great problem. I have to admit, I'm interested, and it's a starting problem. It's a 1 bonus as well. So, what does this mean? Opposing troublemakers can't prevent you from confronting this problem. It means that if your opponent is playing a Tempest and they decide to grubber you, it means that grubber's not going to stop you from confronting this. This is a great sign for Confront the Flip mains, because they have been really by the wayside because they have to confront the flip. And Tempest pretty much says, no, you're not confronting the flip at all turn 1. So you had to find ways to actually confront it, and if you weren't going first, this was made more difficult. What's nice about this new problem is that it changes that aspect. Tempest is no longer going to be able to block off a problem right away. Also, it means farming decks. Now, I don't know if they thought this through or not, but what this means is that farming decks become very weak in the early game. So what's going to happen is that you might uncover your epic, but because your opponent can confront through it, it ignores the troublemakers. This is a great sign for aggro decks, though. Aggro decks are going to love this problem, because aggro decks do not like it when their opponent stops them from confronting a problem. I have a feeling that this problem is going to cause a lot of shakeups in the competitive scene. We're going to be seeing this played a lot. So those are my feelings on the problem right now. So I do want to get into deck building with these two cards, which is the other part of my stream tonight. We will be doing some deck building with these. So we'll see what Jada can cook up with these two cards. But before we get to the deck building, let's look at this resource. You guys ready for this? It just says resource. So I'm under the impression that they didn't exactly release the spoiler quite the way that they probably should have. Like, there should have been like a play to home or whatever text on it, which probably the official copy might, or maybe they just totally forgot about it. So maybe it's not an asset. So let's look at what it does, though. So for 1 AT, you can play this card. It has 4 power. It states that when this card enters play, choose a color. Alright, so it's a color fixer. The play requirements of your cards are reduced by 2 of the chosen color. That is a nasty ability. I'll get back to that here in a moment. We'll definitely be going into it a little more when I get into the deck building section. The next ability is, if you would discard a card while this card is in your hand, you may put this card into play instead. Let that sink in a little bit for everyone here, for every pony. Basically what it's saying is, if you would discard a card for any reason, it doesn't matter what is being discarded, it doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter what possibly would discard it. If this is not the card being targeted for the discard, it can still, so let's say your opponent plays Grubber, and they force you to discard something other than this. This card will allow itself to enter play for free. But here's the thing, is that it doesn't just have to be Grubber that discards it. And that is where I'm going to look at some deck building stuff here in a moment with that as well. So let's talk a little bit about that color reduction. So one of the big problems in the meta right now, as far as problem cards, I shouldn't say problems, I should say problem cards. One of the big problem cards that's used left and right in this day and age is Trading Traditions. Trading Traditions specifically gives your main a secondary color off the bat. What the Fire of Friendship basically does is it says, oh, you want to play that Selena blue, but you have a pink main and you don't have the purple rec? Well, let's reduce that by 2 permanently, so all your 3 purple rec cards cost 1, and all your 2 purple rec cards cost 0 color rec. That is evil. So basically what it does is that it allows you to go into your second color, before you can do anything else. So so let's actually get into the meat of this topic. Deck building. You guys ready for this, folks? Okay, I may have to go back to that slide a little bit, but let's take a look at some deck building here. Let's see here. I'm hoping that so they haven't included the stuff yet. So they're not actually in here. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and build like a pink-purple deck. Let's do that. So what we do, and let's just leave it core just for simplicity's sakes. Alright, so we already know that one of our problems is going to be the new problem, which, as you guys know, says opposing troublemakers can't prevent you from confronting this problem. So I'm going to reserve that lacking lesson plans for like one of my starting problems in case I go up against a Tempest deck, right? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, so one of my slots is going to be for that. All right, cool. That's fine. So let's go ahead and say, I think I want to use 3 Fire of Friendships, because Fire of Friendship is a really good card. So let's go ahead and reserve 3 slots for Fire of Friendship. Alright, that sounds fine. So just know that I'm reserving those slots. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and build a Skystar deck. Sounds legit. Alright, let's take a look at this. So we go in here. So our main color is going to be pink. So we're going to get 7 pink right off the bat. Let's go ahead and go into purple real quick. Now let's look at this. Let's go into friends first. Alright, let's look at all of this real quick. So we have the Fire of Friendship. You know what that means, folks? Useless. Grandpa Gruff, useless. This is no longer a 2 purple wreck. This is going to make the rainbow powered cards actually legit. So we could run that. Because for 2 AT it will be 2 power basically with no color wreck. The way it should have been. That will be no color wreck. This will be a 2 color rack, basically. Don't need that anymore. So, alright, let's take a look at this real quick. So let's go ahead and look at this. Let's try to build this around, like, I don't know. We could... So Wax and Wayne becomes a 3-drop with no need for color rack, meaning she's entry now. For 1 AT, she becomes entry. So I'm going to try... Let's do this. I really like Luna. I'm going to throw Wax and Wayne in there for entry purposes. I'm going to go ahead and run Moon Dancer, because why not? And, of course, 3 Paper Twice, because, yeah. Let's go ahead and throw in Web of Dreams for 2 AT. This is now a 4-entry card. Mass Matterhorn becomes a 4 AT for 4 purple power, no entry cost. So yeah, we could throw 2 of those in, let's say. Alright, so we have an okay lineup. It's not the best lineup in the world, but we don't really need entry at this point. All we need is really that Fire of Friendship. So I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. So let's go ahead and look at some of the multicolors. Let's see what we can do. Now this is where I feel like the Fire of Friendship is really going to shine. So what we're looking for is purple pink cards. Let's take a look. Taking a look at what we can do with this shenanigans. So this becomes 4 AT, no color rack basically. Rainbow Shine becomes a no purple color rack. Let's see. I think what I'll do is, so Selena Blue becomes a 2 AT for 1 purple, which is really good. Let's go ahead and run Selena Blue. So a lot of you might be, but this is looking a little bit like BRB, and it kind of is, but let's go ahead and evaluate kind of a little bit more here before we all jump to like massive conclusions about Drata being like BRB, BRB. I'm like, I'm done with BRB, folks. I ran that at the tournament, and I'm not going back really. But I really do love purple, so because Luna is mostly purple. Hee hee. So let's take a look at this a little bit. Let's go back to purple real quick. I want to look at some of the events that we have. So who wants a Ponyville emergency at no color rack? 0 color rack for that. How about Frozen Magicite at 0 color rack? Or even better, Betrayed with no color rack. So let's go back a little bit and talk a little bit about this. So, sorry, you guys kind of can't see what I was doing. Whoops, forgot to change over OBS. Alright, let me go back a little bit here and kind of show you guys what I was working on. So if you'll see at the deck list, there's Princess Luna, Wax and Wane, Moondancer, Page Turner, Princess Luna, Web of Dreams, Princess Twilight Sparkle, cover to cover, Princess Twilight Sparkle, Mass Matterhorn, and Selena's Sink or Swim. So let's go back because I just realized I was not sharing. Wax and Wane has a 2 color rack requirement. So does Moondancer, and so does Web of Dreams. So what Fire of Friendship does is that it reduces the 2 power color rack down to 0. So because you would choose purple in this deck, it basically means that your purple color rack is reduced by 2, but it's not to a minimum of 1, meaning anything with a 2 purple color rack becomes a 0 color rack requirement. Meaning that all of your cards that were super, super hard to play because of color rack, are no longer affected by color rack. So, for example, Selena Blue, which is really hard to get out because of her purple color rack in BRB, basically says, I just need 1 purple to play this card. And because you'd be able to play a whole bunch of purple cards that have 0 color rack while that card's in play, Selena Blue becomes so much easier to play, where you could play her basically off of Trading Traditions. Provided that your opponent attempted to discard a card from your hand and Fire of Friendship ends up in play. I get a feeling that Grubber is going to be hitting Fire of Friendship a lot. So there's that. Like I was saying, Rainbow Shine here becomes 0 color rack. Pinkie Pie and Twilight Sparkle, all under control, becomes only pink rack. So your multicolors will lose 2 of their color rack with this Fire of Friendships card, is how I'm seeing it. Now imagine that. Imagine the aggro decks you could develop with this. So, for example, Rainbow Dash One Winged Wonder, if you're running a blue-orange deck with like a blue main, imagine no orange rack whatsoever. Cards that had a 4 orange rack become so much easier to play with this Fire of Friendship. Here's the kicker though. If we actually go back and look at it, is it unique? No, it is not unique. Oh man, the shenanigans you can do with that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that is not unique. And it's 1 AT. Oh man. Oh man. For 2 AT, if you get 2 of these, you can remove all the color rack in the game. Let that sink in. Let me just explain this to you guys. So, there's not a single card right now in the game that has anything higher than I think a 4 color rack. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that there's nothing greater than a 4-color rack. So, hold on. I'm not sharing that at the moment. Okay. So, let's see. Thank you, thank you. Yes, top 4 was very, very rough. I managed to do that, and I'm still impressed myself. So, when you're with this card, with the Fire of Friendship, I'm looking to see if anything has a higher color rack than 4. If that's not the case, that card is going to be so good. People are going to be running it so much. Oh man. Really? Okay, so there's not a single card in the game with more than 4 color rack. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So the way I'm looking at this is you can play all your 4 color rack cards. It makes 4 color rack cards actually a legit thing. Oh wow. The splashing you can do with this. I'm just imagining like what Fire Friendship will do. So here's basically what happens. You play one for 1 AT. You remove 2 color rack. So everything with a 4 color rack becomes 2 color rack. Play another for 1 AT. All color rack of your off color is completely removed from your deck. You no longer have color rack for as long as the Fire of Friendships are in play. Oh, that is dirty. Oh, that is dirty, Drada. I'm serious. This is like really, really awesome because the Fire Friendship card is so good. This is way better than what I thought. So this Fire Friendship card is a lot better than I initially thought. Wow. So we have things like motivational speech, singing barrel, and trading traditions and all of that. But, you know, it's just the Fire of Friendship does so much. Oh man, you can build just about anything with this. Oh man. Okay, so the way this works is effectively I can play any type of color rack I want. So, okay, so let's get back to this deck real quick that I'm working on here. So, I'm building a pink-purple deck at the moment. Okay, so now that I know that it can completely remove color rack because it's not unique, we can do some crazy, crazy stuff. Because all of this just becomes completely open to whatever we want to do. Now, unlike motivational speech, trading traditions, and those, if you have any of those in play, cards like Magical Pony will get their effects, but with Fire of Friendship, you won't receive the effects of like the Magical Pony, Loyal Pony, and so forth, because those typically require another purple friend. All the Fire Friendship does is reduces your color rack. It does not apply. It does not make another character purple, so you won't gain the effects. So let's go ahead and refresh this. I actually want to try something because we're theory crafting tonight, folks. We are totally theory crafting. So let's actually, instead of using Skystar, which is a 2-flip, let's go ahead and build a Hot Wings deck. So we use Scootaloo here. Alright, so we're going to use Scootaloo. Now Scootaloo is a Confront the Flip main, which means our starting problem against Tempest is probably going to be the new starting problem, which is, you guessed it, lacking lesson plans. So that way, when we're up against a troublemaker control deck, we could be like, well, I'm still going to confront to get my main flipped. So that's fine. So it makes Scootaloo a little bit more viable. So let's go ahead and go to our friends here. Core format. So let's take a look at this. So what I'm thinking of doing is dropping 2 uneven grounds. We got 2 night gliders, 3 night gliders. Always 3 night gliders, folks. Always 3. Rutherford? Yes, sign me up. So with the Fire Friendship, Rutherford is now a 2 color rec cost, which basically means that it's going to be a lot stronger than some of the other stuff that we're going to be able to use. So what I'm thinking is that we go ahead and we do sorry, I'm playing around with my windows. My apologies, folks. So let's go ahead and rock 2 Rutherford. I'm thinking of dropping in 2 Thunderlane because it's Thunderlane. Now let's switch over to pink. Let's see what we could put in. So we lose color rec. Can't throw that in because that's banned. Let's see. Let's go ahead and drop a 3 Sonata Dusks. Where's my favorite card? Where is it? Come on. There it is. Berry Punch and Orange Swirl. Let's rock that. And then let's go ahead and throw in Cadence. Maybe not Cadence. Technically, I could run Mega Mare. I don't know what else to run, folks. I'm trying to think about what else I want to run. I'm really hoping the new set has some more transform for us. That'd be really cool. Well, let's look at the multicolors real quick. I tend to do that. I tend to rely on those a little bit more than other things. Let's go ahead and use Angel Wings. So the nice thing about the Fire Friendship is that Angel Wings loses its pink rec, so we don't even need Trading Traditions anymore. So let's go ahead and run 3 Angel Wings. Let's drop a triple Spitfire. And you know what? Pinkie Pie Competitive. Pinkie Pie Pony Pirate. I think that is good. I think that's fine. Honestly. I think that's okay. Oh, let's throw Soren in and Lyra and Bonbon. Because why not? Now, we need to make sure that we have 3 slots. So we're actually at 34 at the moment. So let's go ahead and take a look at none. Now, I'm not going to include any of these friends because they're colorless. Because actually, the way this deck's going to run, I'd say 3 motivational speech. Definitely mandatory. Let's drop 2 stabs in there just because we're theory crafting, folks. We don't need to be super on the ball with this. Multicolor events. So let's go ahead and look at this. Now remember, Fire Friendship reduces the color rec by 2, meaning your songs all become just your primary color rec. So, and I believe that's how it's worded. Let me double check that real quick. The play requirements of your cards are reduced by 2 of the chosen color. Oh man, yeah, sign me up for that. So basically what happens is that Wonderbolt's Wrap becomes only a blue rec. It's basically playing a blue card. It can do a lot of other stuff than what I'm suggesting. So like all your songs become just your primary color rack for 1AT. Can you imagine that? Just like having no color rack in your entire deck for like the whole game. You just have to, and your main is already flipped. Imagine that. You don't have any color rack. It's like, I pay AT to do this. I pay AT to do this. I pay AT to do this. At least until someone plays like a Luna's Future, and then you're like sad face, like you're like. But until someone plays a Luna's Future, the Fire Friendship is really good. I'm sensing resource removal is going to be really key in the Beyond block. I have this feeling that resource removal is going to be heavily mandatory. If you do not have resource removal, you're just going to get stomped. So, speaking of which, we don't have resource removal at the moment. So let's talk about that. Let's see what we can throw in for resource removal. We can go... Let's see. What do we got? We have... wait a minute. There's a resource that's blue called Trashed. So we could use that. It's really negligible. Bleh, I can't speak. It's not very good resource removal, but it could work. But let's see what else we have access to. We could go into white using an event. We could use Petite Sneeze, but that 4 color rack will still be a problem in a blue-pink deck. So let's talk a little bit about yellow. Color yellow. Let's see. We could run Friends Are Always There, but it's still a 3 color rack. Well, that's not going to help us. Even though we have the Fire Friendship, it's not sufficient enough. Now what we could do is we go to Friend. What we can do, I think, is we can play Big Mac Big Eater. Because it won't have orange color rack, if we call orange with one of them, we can actually splash into Big Mac. And because it won't have a color rack, we don't need to color fix for it. Which is really good. And that means we could do maybe some other shenanigans too. With that. Let's see what else we can pull out of the tricks. See what other tricks we can come up with. How about we play a Big Mac Little Big Brother? Now that'd be interesting. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave my resource removal as Big Mac. And I'm going to go over here to, what is it? I'm looking for 3 specific cards. Oh, wait. I have 3 Fire Friendships already in the deck. So that means that we don't have any dilemmas. Well, that's fine, I guess. Whatever, it's theory crafting. So we got 3 Fires of Friendship. So we're actually at 45 cards. Let's go ahead and look at the problem deck real quick. Let's go ahead and say, let's have a searching high and low. We already have a problem there. Let's go ahead and throw in a Trading Traditions. And we already have the, what's it called? Lacking lesson plans. So let's go ahead and throw in a Pearl Heist, another Pearl Heist, because why not? So we're at 5 so far. So we only have half the deck to really worry about. Let's go ahead and throw in 2 Griffin Stones. And I guess we could throw in Daring Escape. And actually, I'd like to run 2 Lacking Lesson Plans in here. Alright, so this is our deck. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and refresh this. Give me a moment. Okay, so here's the deck. So excluding the fact that we're actually at 45 cards because they're not in the database yet. So let's take a look at this real quick. If I played a Fire of Friendship, turn 1, let's count how many of these cards I could play just off of having my main flipped and no other color requirement. And let's say I declare pink, right, with Fire of Friendship. Let's count how many cards I could play with having my main flipped and having all my color, having pink color rec reduced by 2. Alright, I can play On Even Ground. I can play Night Glider. I cannot play Rutherford. I will not be able to play a Thunderlight. I will not be able to play Big Mac. I can play Sonata Dusk with no other color rec. I can play Berry Punch and Orange Swirl, no other color rec. I can play Lyra and Bonbon. I can play Soren. I can play Angel Wings. I can play Spitfire. I will not be able to play a Pinkie Pie Pony Pirate. I can play Wonderbolt's Wrap. And of course I can play these. So in other words, for one Fire of Friendship, this entire deck just lost nearly all of its pink rec requirement for all. It loses all of its pink rec requirement except for one card. For one Fire of Friendship. All my pink rec just went out the window. And that's for one AT, folks. That's why I'm thinking that card is so powerful. The Fire of Friendship is such a strong card because of the fact that it removes that secondary color rec. So that's just an example of what you can do. I really just wanted to do some theory crafting with the Fire of Friendship card. Now let's talk a little bit about the problem, which I haven't gone as much into, but it's called lacking lesson plans. So let's say with this deck, we're up against a villain farming deck. Let's say they play a, give me one moment here, folks. I'm going to try to locate a villain card. Give me a moment. So, okay, so here we are on the database. Let's go ahead and put in none, troublemaker. I'm just pretty much looking for any villain at this point. Villain. There's one. So Starlight, Glimmer, Chrono Trigger. Alright. So let's talk about this. So what happens is that Chrono Trigger comes into play, it uncovers or whatever. And let's say they uncover it at your problem. Your starting problem is lacking lesson plans. And you're like, well, they just played a troublemaker face down, then Chrono Trigger go flips. Well, you're going to be like, I really, really want to get rid of that Chrono Trigger. Well, lacking lesson plans basically doesn't prevent, Chrono Trigger cannot stop you from confronting lacking lesson plans. So because it can't stop you from confronting lacking lesson plans, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to confront it, whether it's the flip your main or whether it's the DFO. So basically, it's a problem that cannot be prevented from being confronted, basically, which is really strong. It's a lot stronger than I think the people developing the decks are actually realizing. Because the whole point behind troublemakers a lot of the time is to stop your opponent from confronting their problem. basically what's going to happen is that with lacking lesson plans, someone puts a troublemaker there on your side, and you're just going to confront it in a control deck. You're just going to sit there and be like, oh, you have a troublemaker there. Well, that's cute. I'll just sit here. Control your board state back at you. It's like, I can just sit there, and I don't have to confront your problem, but when I'm ready to, I can just get rid of your troublemaker. If you play a troublemaker to my lacking lesson plans, and here's the kicker. It's only opposing troublemakers, meaning your troublemakers can still stop your opponent from confronting lacking lesson plans. Basically, it's a great card for control options. Now, it's not a great card for farming, but it's a really good card for control, for aggro, for other things. And here's the other thing, is that lacking lesson plans can be confronted with a simple allo or a staff, anything with 3 power there with your main. It can confront the flip main for essentially between 3 to 4 AT, you can get a confront the flip main flipped. There's allo. Allo will flip your main no problem, and all of that. So, yeah, I like the lacking lesson plans and what the potential for it is. So let's talk a little bit maybe about what we can do, kind of shenanigans with this. So let's take a look at the troublemakers a little bit. I definitely want to look at some of the troublemakers. Let's go ahead, go back here. Let's go ahead. So with opposing troublemakers can't stop you from confronting. So what we could do is, so we could definitely use Starlight Glimmer, Expose Inequality. That's fine. Let's see what else we can pull out of this. I'm just trying to think what else could go with that problem. We could use Lore Tyrek, Destroyer of Worlds, so it can just sit there, but I mean, obviously, Changeling Mimics. I'm just trying to think what else would go with that. Now, here's the kicker, though. So, it says opposing troublemakers, which means that your villains in your epic still stop you from confronting that problem. So, if you flip over a villain or an epic or whatever, lacking lesson plan still stops you from confronting the problem. So I'm just trying to think what else could really go well with that. I mean, you wouldn't want to use it for confronting or whatever. Well, you wouldn't want to use an epic with it. I can't think of any good troublemakers right now that would really go well with that. Because I'm just thinking of ways that you could take advantage of that. Big time. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting kind of tired here, and we got like 15 minutes left. I can't think of anything good at the moment. Drada can't think of anything. Oh no, no, Drada is losing his head. Anyways, I'm feeling a little like this, and a little bit like that. Fire Friendship is definitely one of the easier ones to theory craft with what it also would go with well. The big thing to take away from this is definitely that the Fire Friendship will definitely help with a lot of decks. Let's go ahead and go back here, and then I want to go deck builder. So okay, so the way that Fire Friendship will probably end up working is that all color rec cards basically become null and void. So things like motivational speech and singing barrel will probably still be required, but they won't be nearly as good as the Fire Friendship. Now, one of the things I wanted to check was what's the rarity on these two cards. So it looks like the Fire Friendship will be a common, which basically means people are going to end up with like a gazillion of them. It's probably going to be like motivational speech, where everyone ends up with like a gazillion motivational speeches. Not the least of which, the Fire Friendship has the exact same AT cost and power as motivational speech. Well, let's take a look at motivational speech real quick, because I need to verify something. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna go to Sequestrian Beyond, to the Beyond. So motivational speech is a resource asset, and it also says play to your home. Well, here's the thing, is that the Fire Friendship is a resource, not an asset, and it does not say play to your home. I'm wondering where you actually play that. Can you play it to the problem? Can you play it to your home? Huh? I think that they need some clarification on that before they release the set, because you can play that technically anywhere, because it does not specify. So I hope that they get that cleaned up before the actual release, because when they don't specify location, it's like technically it can be played in any of the various locations that exist in the game. So I'm hoping that it is to home, but we'll have to see what the actual text on the card might actually end up being, because I'm hoping that it is play to your home, but it doesn't word it like that. And that's the unfortunate thing. So I can see a lot of confusions with the Fire Friendship coming up. Lacking lesson plans is fairly straightforward, but that wording, troublemakers can't prevent you from confronting this problem. That's fine wording and all, but the Fire Friendship, I think that it needs to have like play to your home, because seriously, if you don't specify that, it's like going back to the Premier block and causing lots of ruling issues. I feel like that because technically if it's a resource, generally you could play it anywhere and that's fine. But so where do I think that this stuff is going to end up? I definitely think that lacking lesson plans will be perfect for control decks. I fully think that they're going to be perfect for control decks. Like if you want to build a control deck, lacking lesson, one of the issues with a lot of control decks is that they suffer from color requirements when up against other control decks. And especially things like Chaos Control or BRB, especially Chaos Control, which tries to lock you down to troublemakers. If you start with lacking lesson plans and you just confront that for all eternity, Chaos Control really, they can put a troublemaker there and it just doesn't matter. So that's why I think that lacking lesson plans is really too strong of a starting problem, because there's other cards in the game that do deal with troublemakers, like Fluttershy Pony Pirates one, Repulsor Blast is another, and I feel like that lacking lesson plans is a redundancy, but at the same time I really like it because it's basically a problem that says, oh, your opposing troublemakers can't stop you from confronting this. It basically removes the fact that troublemakers exist there, meaning it's easier to DFO, but it also means that control decks that use troublemakers, when that problem's face up, they won't be able to put their troublemakers there to stop you from confronting. And then all you have to do is sit there and confront a four requirement problem, which, by the way, is 6 for your opponent. That is a lot. That is a lot for your opponent to try to confront. So it'd be a really good problem for control decks. Potentially aggro if they end up against Tempest, Shadow. Like, I see that playing a huge role. Now, the Fire of Friendship may not be as ideal for aggro decks, but I think that for control decks, it's gonna be really, really, really good. If you're trying to go control, the Fire of Friendship is gonna be like your ideal card, because I find that reducing the color rec versus just making your main a new color is a make or break for the game. So instead of us giving our main a color, we just reduced the color rec of all the cards, which is way stronger than giving the color to our main. Because when you reduce it by 2, you basically make it so your main just needs to be flipped. Meanwhile, unlike reducing color rec with Motivational Speech and Singing Barrel and Trading Traditions, you will always have 3 color rec, unless the main is like Thorax or something. Unless the main gets more power from elsewhere. But generally speaking, the color will always be only at 3. Well, Fire of Friendship alone can remove color rec completely, making everything an entry card for just 1 AT. That is really efficient, and that is really good. If you're running a deck based around all 2 color rec, the Fire of Friendship is going to remove secondary color. It will become basically for 1 AT, you'll be playing a monocolored deck versus dual color, because the Fire of Friendship will just remove the color rec completely. That's why reducing the color rec is a lot stronger than color fixing. Instead of you generating a color, you basically reduce the color rec, which can be reduced to 0 color rec. Now, keep in mind that the Fire of Friendship can only do 1 color at a time. So I find that the Fire of Friendship is a lot stronger than lacking lesson plans, but I also think that these two were originally designed to counter Tempest and Grubber, but I don't think that anyone thought through how powerful the Fire of Friendship is going to be. I mean, I haven't seen the rest of the set, so I don't know, but I'm definitely seeing that the Fire of Friendship is way too strong for a common. Just from looking at it. I mean, making your color rec 0 for a 2 color rec card basically makes half your deck and like 80% of your deck entry. You don't have to worry about it until it gets removed, of course, from the game, whether it be dismissed, banished, or whatever. But if you're not worried about it being dismissed because you're running Sweetie Belle or something, then yeah, this card is really good. With as much resource removal that's going around, maybe it's not as strong as I'm thinking. But definitely playing this turn 1 and potentially playing it for free. Now, something I did want to touch on real quick. So, let's go ahead and go back in here. And let's talk about Fire Friendship's other ability real quick. So there's a card in orange from EO. We all might remember it. Apple Bloom. Here it is. Apple Bloom Remarkable. I want to touch on this because this is really important for everyone to know. Check this. So let's say you're starting with an orange main, or you're starting with something like Trading Traditions and you call it orange. I pay 1 AT and I say, alright, I played my Apple Bloom Remarkable. I exhaust this card. I discard a card. Any card. Just not the Fire of Friendship. And I say, the next card I play costs 1 less this turn. So I discard maybe an Applejack Cutie Mark Consultant. I now get a free Fire of Friendship for 1 AT. And I now have 2 to spend on something that costs only, I don't know, 2 or so color rack. Let's go ahead and go all sets here. Core. So Apple Bloom Remarkable allows me now because it's 2 less, I can play, what all can I play? Let's see. For 2 AT, I could play a Big Mac and Applejack. Or even better, if it's an off color, maybe like white, I can play an Octavia. I could play a, what else could I play? I could play 2 Rarity Rainbow Powers. I could play, if you wanted a Gladmane. I don't know why you would, but whatever. You do you. So, the way this works is that Apple Bloom Remarkable becomes really, really, really strong. Because basically, for 1 AT, for 2 AT, at the very beginning of the game, for 2 AT, you know what you just did? You played an Apple Bloom Remarkable, you played a Fire of Friendship, and you played a, whatever your off-color card is. So, okay, so how does this work? Well, the Fire of Friendship specifically says if you would discard a card, it doesn't matter what card it is, it doesn't matter how it's discarded, it's just if you would discard a card. So Apple Bloom Remarkable does indeed trigger the Fire of Friendship's Enter Play ability. Apple Bloom Remarkable, I'm predicting like this hand destruction, like self-hand destruction, is going to be a legit a deck. Because if you can use Apple Bloom to discard a card, Apple Bloom Remarkable becomes so much stronger. Because the Fire Friendship argument says, you discarded a card. Even though you did it, you can now play this card for free. Oh, and the next card you play costs 2 less. But let me double check that with Apple Bloom, because I'm pretty sure that actually might not work. I guess it depends on triggering order. It'll probably depend on triggering order, because what happens is that Apple Bloom, so the way it works is that you exhaust this card and discard a card to pay 1 less for your next card this turn. So maybe it won't work. So, because technically Apple Bloom has to resolve before the Fire of Friendship can trigger, so I'd have to. So that'll be an interesting debate that will come up, and I'm interested to see what the rulings on that is going to be. If it is indeed that you can trigger the Fire of Friendship before Apple Bloom can fully trigger, you can basically just say, Fire of Friendship enters play, I now gain Apple Bloom's modifier. So, to pay one less for your next card. Yeah, so it might not work, but it'll be really ridiculous if Fire and Friendship and Apple Bloom Remarkable actually work together. That'll be really, really good. Otherwise, you have to find another way to discard it from your hand. Now, another way you could do this is Lyra Main, actually. And we're actually at time on stream. So, because Lyra would force you to discard your hand, Fire of Friendship would actually come into play rather than, let me double check that real quick. So you guys didn't see any of that, but that's fine. While this card is in your hand, if you would discard a card while this card is in your hand, you may put this card into play instead. So, it's a replacement modifier. So, in other words, it would probably come into play. If you would discard a card while this card is in your hand, you may put this card into play instead. Oh, man! Oh, man! That is way stronger than I thought. Okay, so I've kind of been a little mixed up with this card. Instead of you, when you activate Apple Bloom, it'll work. So Apple Bloom exhausts, you discard a card. You choose a card that is not the Fire of Friendship. You put the Fire of Friendship into play instead. Now you get Apple Bloom's ability, because this replaces the discard. Oh, man. And with Lyra? Oh, that is dirty. You basically get to keep one card, if that's the case. So, if you would discard a card. Okay, so it's only single cards. So, if you activate Lyra Main, it doesn't do it. But, oh, man. With Apple Bloom? Yeah, no, that totally works. You play Apple Bloom Remarkable, you exhaust her to discard a different card than Fire of Friendship. Fire of Friendship will come into play instead of you discarding that card. And all of a sudden, you didn't lose a card at all. And Apple Bloom, and you get the Fire of Friendship in play, and Apple Bloom activated. Oh my gosh. For 1 AT, that is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous combination for 1 AT. Wow. So that does work. So, just so you guys know, let me show you guys Apple Bloom real quick. It's an orange friend. So, Apple Bloom Remarkable, which specifically states exhaust this card and discard a card. But because Fire Friendship does not specify what you discard or how, it just says you play this. This enters play instead of you discarding. Oh, that is dirty. That is really good. So, just so you guys know, if you're looking to run this in a deck, use Apple Bloom. Because Apple Bloom, oh my gosh, that is a dirty combination. Oh, I gotta build something around that at some point. That is dirty. Alright, so what I want to do is, I'll let you guys know how it works out, but I'm planning on actually, making proxies of these two cards sometime this week, and playing a deck with them, just so I can see how the Fire of Friendship actually works out in a orange something deck. But I got a feeling that the Fire of Friendship with Apple Bloom is going to be really, really good, because it's a cost reduction, you don't lose a card, and you get a color rec reduction. That is ridiculous. That is really good for Orange, and Orange needs that right now. They need a way of speeding themselves up. But with Apple Bloom and the Fire Friendship, that is just way too good of a combination, I think, that is probably going to be a little over the top. Wow. Are there any other, like, things like that? I don't think there's anything like that else in the game right now. I don't think that there's anything at all that can top that. Wow, that is really, really good. Oh, man. Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything like it in the game. There's not a single card that can do that combo. Or anything that's equally as strong. I don't think there's anything compared to that. Well, anyways, guys, I'm like 6 minutes over the stream. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Get that figured out. Oh my gosh, Apple Bloom and the Fire Friendship. That is way too good. That is filthy. Remember, Drata discovered it before the set was released. Oh, man. Oh, man. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be crazy about that. So anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. I am definitely going to be going to bed here in a moment. So anyways, guys, I enjoyed this stream. Those are the two spoilers we received. We did some theory crafting, some talking about the spoilers and where they might be good and stuff. I'm looking forward to set 10. I hope you guys are as well. Thank you for joining me on stream today for DAG. As always, guys, if you need to reach out to me, you can contact me through Drata Arcana Gaming on Facebook. Contact me at drata.arcana@gmail.com. If you're looking for any of my previous episodes or uploads, you can find them on my YouTube at Drata Arcana, or you can just join me on my Twitch. I stream every Sunday, so if you enjoyed this video or you enjoyed what I do, please go ahead, give me a thumbs up on a like or subscribe. Subscribers just lets me know how many people are actually interested in my content. That's all I use it for. It encourages me to continue making videos like this. If you guys want to be like, but Drata, you're messing up on the Fire Friendship card, and I'll be like, okay, fine. You got me there. But I do think that the Fire Friendship is going to be a lot stronger than people are anticipating. So, anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for hanging out with me at DAG, and I'll catch you.